Alright, it's been enough years now. I feel like I'm ready to share this story. From an outside perspective, it's not exactly nightmare fuel. It's more odd than terrifying. But having lived it, yeah, I'm still creeped out by that place to this day. So here goes. At the time of this event, I was 20 and working as a firefighter for the US Army. Yeah, I know. Most people don't even realize the Army has firefighters. But think about it. Army bases are basically walled cities, and just like any other city, they need people to put out fires. My best friend, who we'll call Jay, was in my unit. We were on a 48-hour on, 72-hour off schedule, which meant we had way too much free time and not nearly enough common sense. Naturally, we filled that void with dumb hobbies, our favorite being urban exploration. Not because of any supernatural curiosity or anything. I don't think either of us believed in ghosts or demons or anything like that. We just liked poking around abandoned places. It was like being archaeologists, but for recent history, and, without any of the training or the credentials or the respectability. Luckily for us, the area that we were stationed in had no shortage of abandoned buildings, or even entire towns within a few hours' drive. For over a year, we explored literally hundreds of places. Not once did we see anything paranormal. No ghosts, no weird noises, no mysterious whispers telling us to get out. Honestly, I think we were kind of hoping for something creepy to happen. And then we found the mansion. One night, while trawling forums for new locations, I came across a post about a tiny town with an abandoned colonial-style mansion. The guy who posted it was vague on details, but it sounded promising. So, like the fearless idiots we were, Jay and I decided this would be our next adventure. We drove 2 hours from our base and arrived in what I can only describe as a 3-street, 1-gas station kind of town. I'm talking super tiny, like everyone's related, and the town council meets in someone's garage kind of tiny. There was one gas station, a single county tornado shelter, and a deeply unsettling vibe. Now, I'm not usually one to talk about bad energy or feeling oppressed by a place, but man, this town felt wrong. Not in a creepy old buildings way either, but in a you're not welcome here and something knows you are here way. Still, we were not about to chicken out just because the air felt heavy. We went into the gas station and we asked the clerk about the mansion. She looked at us like we just asked where to find the local wizard's tower. She claimed she'd never heard of it. One odd thing that I noticed, for such a small town, there were a lot of churches, like 5 of them. Not super weird for the Bible Belt, I suppose, except none of them had normal Christian iconography. No crosses, no stained glass, just names like Church of the Light and The Gathering Place. It wasn't outright sinister, but it was definitely strange. But we didn't come for a church tour. We had an allegedly abandoned mansion to find. After checking into a hotel about 15 miles away, we drove back after dark because, as any seasoned urban explorer knows, it's best to go in at night and keep your lights off. Nothing ruins a good B&E like a concerned local calling the cops. For over an hour, we drove around, searching, but nothing. No mansion, no abandoned buildings, just the same few streets and stretches of dense, silent woods. Eventually, we parked in the tornado shelter's lot to smoke and complain about wasting a trip. And that's when we saw them. A group of 5 people walking down the road toward us. Now, nothing inherently weird about that. Even at midnight, people walk places. But as they got closer, something was off. When a person walks into the light of a street lamp, you expect to see details. Clothing, skin, something. But these 5? Nothing. They stepped directly into the glow of a streetlight, but instead of being illuminated, they remained pitch black. And not like they were wearing dark clothes or anything. I mean, pure, absolute voids. Human-shaped cutouts of nothingness standing in the light not 10 feet from us. Jay and I looked at each other. No words, just instant, silent agreement. We threw our cigarettes, jumped in the car, and hauled ass out of there. That alone would have been enough to keep me out of that town forever, but the worst part were the dreams that came after. Almost a year after that night, I had the same nightmare, one that I shouldn't have even been able to have because I never saw the mansion. It always started the same way. I was walking down a forest path. After a few seconds, I entered a clearing and I saw it. A pristine 3-story white Victorian mansion with a wraparound deck and towering columns. The place looked old, but well kept. I'd walk up the dirt path, climb 3 wooden steps onto the porch, and approach the double doors. They were painted dark green, and that's when I'd feel it. Something inside wanted me to come in. Not in a welcoming way, more like a hungry way. The rational part of me knew that I shouldn't, that I couldn't, but I always did the same thing. I'd reach for the right side of the door, I'd push it open, and see nothing. Just pitch black emptiness, and then I'd wake up. I had this exact dream for nearly a year. And one day, while catching up with Jay, now stationed in another part of the world, he casually mentioned his dreams. My stomach dropped. I asked him what he meant, and he described to me the exact same nightmare that I just described to you. Same house, same feeling, same open door leading to nothingness for almost the exact amount of time. And that, dear reader, is my anticlimactic brush with the supernatural. It's been over 10 years, and every now and then, the dream still comes back. I don't know what was in that town, but I know there's a mansion there, and I know something lives in it. I'll never go back. And no, I'm not telling you where the town is, because if something in that place wants people to find it, I'm sure as hell not gonna help. In my mid-20s, I had a small apartment, my dog, and my ex, who, in hindsight, might have also been haunted. But that's another story. We had just gotten a kitten, and life was pretty chill. It's around 10:30 p.m., and I'm on the couch, locked into a competitive video game, with kitten snoozing on my lap, and my dog lounging to my left. The front door is almost within arm's reach of my right hand, convenient for escape if needed. Out of nowhere, I noticed my dog staring at me, but not at me, more like past me, like she was seeing something that I was very much not seeing. Her face was all twisted up, like she just watched me put raisins in potato salad. Now, I know my dog. This was her "I'm deeply unsettled but too polite to say anything" face. I glance over at the door, nothing. I look back at her. She's still tweaking. The dog is locked in, unmoving, but not whining or barking. At this point, my fight or flight instincts are trying to boot up, but my brain is like, nah, let's do something dumb instead. So I extend my right arm into the air, feeling around like I'm trying to hail an invisible cab. Normal, normal, and then bam, from my forearm to my fingertips, ice cold, like I just dipped my hand into a bowl of haunted ice cream. I audibly say, wow, that's something. Because, when faced with supernatural horror, the correct response is clearly Midwestern curiosity. Neck hairs, standing at attention. Nervous system, doing some weird static shock dance. But do I flee? Do I call a priest? No. I queue up for another match, because clearly I have the survival instincts of a potato. Except now, my dog is shifting her gaze. She's still looking past me, but now she's tracking something moving behind me. And remember that cute little kitten sleeping peacefully on my lap? The moment this thing moves behind me, my kitten starts to shiver. She steps off me, like, yeah, you're on your own, Chief, and then goes back to sleep, but now in front of me. You ever see a cat make a business decision? That was it. At this point, I'm thinking, okay, so you want to watch me play video games? Fine. Sit down, Casper. We're running ranked. But I could feel the energy now. The cold, the tingling. The hair on my arms were doing the wave. My dog was still staring, so baffled that I swear I could hear her little dog brain trying to compute the nonsense. I tried to focus, but it was too much. I finally turned around, looked at nothing, and said, like a teacher who's done with his class shenanigans, "You're breaking my concentration. I'm sorry, but you gotta go." And I shit you not, the ghost listened. I watched my dog's disturbed little face track this thing as it moved away, like she was watching an awkward party guest realize they weren't actually invited. She followed it as it drifted behind the couch toward the windows. 2 seconds later, her face completely returned to normal. Just like that. No more horror, no more fear. She blinked at me like, "Anyway, what's for dinner?" and then laid down. And my kitten? That traitorous little goblin wasted no time hopping right back onto my lap, like nothing had ever happened. Like, oh, the malevolent spirit is gone? Cool, give me that lap back. Honestly, it was the single most mind-blowing experience of my life. I've had tons of encounters with weird energy over the years, some subtle, some way too obvious. I don't know why, but I seem to be extra susceptible to whatever's out there. So there, if you ever feel a ghost staring at you while you're gaming, just hit him with a "Sir, I am busy" routine, because apparently it works. I don't even know where to start. 2 weeks ago, I moved out of my parents' house. I thought I was finally stepping into independence, my own space, my own rules. At first, it was exactly that. Late nights, decorating, the freedom that I'd always wanted. But now, I wish I'd never left. I don't feel safe here. I don't feel alone. It started with small things, like misplaced keys on the floor or in the fridge, things I never remembered moving. I just chalked it up to stress or forgetfulness. But then it got worse. One night, I came home to find every single cabinet in my kitchen wide open. I knew I hadn't left them like that. A few nights later, I woke up and I noticed my closet door was open. I never leave it open. As I stared into the dark space inside, I heard something, faint, raspy breathing, so soft that it could have just been my imagination, but it wasn't. I stayed under the covers until morning. Then, the noises started. A slow creaking under my bed. At first, it sounded like the wood shifting, but then it escalated. A scream, choked, wet, and desperate. I froze. I couldn't move. I couldn't even breathe. When I finally worked up the nerve to grab my phone and turn on the flashlight, nothing. But the shadows? They're the worst. I wake up in the middle of the night to see someone in my doorway, just standing there, silent, motionless, not blinking. The first time, I told myself it was just a trick of the light, but it keeps happening, every night, and sometimes they get closer. Last night, I locked my bedroom door before I went to bed. When I woke up, the lock was broken. The door was wide open, and there were wet footprints, faint and glistening, leading into my room, stopping right next to my bed. This morning, I found something on my sink. A hairbrush, old, cracked, and with strands of hair still tangled in it that were not mine. I don't even own a brush like that. When I touched it, it was damp. I threw it out. An hour later, it was back. The whispers started next. They came from the walls, just low enough to drive me insane. I can't eat, I can't sleep, and every time I close my eyes, I feel something watching me. I don't know what to do. I mean, I can't stay here, but I've nowhere else to go. My parents wouldn't believe me. They would just say I'm imagining things. But I know what's happening. There's something here, and it doesn't want me to leave. This person includes an update that adds, "It's happening again today." I don't even know why I'm writing this. Maybe just so someone, anyone, will know what's happening. Since this morning, everything has spiraled. I thought that leaving the apartment would help, but it didn't. It follows me. I spent the night at a friend's place, hoping for some peace. I didn't tell them what was going on, because I didn't want to sound crazy. But when I woke up, their cat was sitting in the doorway of my guest room, staring. Its fur was soaked. My friend swore that it hadn't been outside, and then I saw it. A single, damp footprint next to the bed. I left immediately. When I got home, the air inside felt thick and heavy, like something was pressing down on my chest. I walked into the bathroom, and the mirror was all fogged up like someone had just stepped out of the shower. And written in the condensation were 3 words: "Don't fight it." The whispers are louder now, more urgent, more intelligible. The words don't sound human. The voice is deep and wet, like it's choking on itself. And then an hour ago, I heard water dripping. I thought it was from the kitchen sink, but when I followed the sound, I saw a puddle forming outside my bedroom. Inside, my bed was soaked. The sheets, the mattress, everything. And in the middle of the bed was that hairbrush. The same one that I threw away twice now. The lights are flickering, my phone battery drains faster than it should, and time just doesn't feel right anymore. I called my parents, but the call dropped. And when I checked my phone, the last number that I dialed wasn't theirs. It was listed as unknown, and I don't remember dialing it. Right now, I'm sitting in my car writing this. I can't go back inside. I can't stay out here much longer either. Every time I look up at my apartment window, I swear I see it. A shadow. Standing there, just watching me and waiting. Something is going to happen tonight. I don't know what, but I swear I can feel it. If you don't hear from me again, don't come looking for me, because whatever this is, it isn't just haunting me anymore. I think it's taking me.